A queen is crowned, Damon is a shitty manager, business hours are open again, and Luke successfully manages to avoid becoming the Lord of Driftmark. It's a black day for Team Black, and we're going to talk about it. It's the Watchers on the Couch. Welcome back to Watchers on the Couch. Today we are discussing episode 10 of the HBO series House of the Dragon. It's the season 1 finale. This episode is entitled The Black Queen, and that is because Rhaenyra is the queen and her side is called the Blacks. It's very, very deep, these show titles. I'm Tim.
And I'm Mike.
So Mike and I will do our initial thoughts of the episode. We will get down into our show breakdown, and then we'll wrap up by talking about what we thought of the episode overall, the season. We'll have some speculations about what we think might happen in season 2. We are book spoiler free. We have not read Fire and Blood. And we'll wrap up. Stick around for the end of this episode for some more podcast news. And if it seems like I'm talking real fast, it's because I am. We are late recording this episode. It is 1 p.m. on a Wednesday. Mike's had a bad couple weeks, and he's getting over the vids. So we're trying to get him back on bed rest as soon as we can.
Yes, lick spittles.
Lick spittles.
It's been rough. Oh. I felt like Viserys for a while, so.
Been in bed like Corlys.
Yes, I have been. So.
All right, let's get into it. Mike is on the mend, so speedy recovery for him so he can join the painted table and throw some pieces down. But this episode, Mike, our initial thoughts, is this a Dracarys or a Dohaeris? Should we burn it to death with fire, or does it serve as a decent episode?
I'm more on the Dracarys side myself. I don't know what to say. It was just really disappointing. I thought, so at the beginning of this episode, I'm like, oh man, there's going to be, shit's going to start happening by the middle of this episode for sure. Like that's where I felt this was going. And then by the middle of the episode, I'm like, it's just going to be fucking politicking type stuff. Mm-hmm. I know that stuff needs to happen, but I don't know. This whole season, I just feel like it's...
What's the point?
Yeah. We have pretty much. This would be awesome if this was like episode 5.
Episode 5, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think one of the things is, and this is like later in my notes as the wrap up, but I think this should have been episode 9 with the way it happened. Like there should have been some restructuring. This I felt like this episode was a good episode as its own, but I think as a season finale, it fell way fucking flat.
Yeah. I do want to kind of say that. That's season finale, very disappointing. I didn't like it. Dracarys, this was a season finale.
Dracarys is a season
This episode itself wasn't like it was,
a bad episode.
An awful episode or something like that. So
yeah, episode as it stands on its own, maybe a Dohaeris, but probably a Dracarys as a season finale. I mean, I always like when my speculations are accurate, since I have not read Fire and Blood, but I did the speculations based upon where we're at in the show and then and what I saw on the preview. And I basically called everything. The tragic end to Rhaenyra's pregnancy, the death of Luke, not that those are huge logical leaps by any means, but, I think, however, like we have the season finale and knowing that we're going to have to wait 2 years for the next episode. Yeah, it definitely falls flat. There should have been episode 9 and we should have had because everything happens at the very end, like all the big, what the fuck moment that you would expect from episode 9 happens at the very end of this episode. So there should have been like an aftermath, even if there's not an episode, if episode 9 still needed to happen and this was episode 10, there should have been an episode 11 because it feels incomplete, the season, the way they end it.
Yes.
But let's get into the recap. So we start on what is called the painted table, and we have Luke brushing his fingers casually over the representation of Driftmark on this table. And Rhaenyra comes in. It's like, oh, there you are. It's like, well, there's only so many rooms in this place. And this is the only room we ever see here. So, yeah, of course I'm right here. But he's lamenting to Rhaenyra that Corlys is probably going to die, and he doesn't want to be the Lord of Driftmark. And Rhaenyra gives him some counsel here about how she was around his age when she was charged with her duty. She was 4 and 10 because the number 14 doesn't exist. And he says, that's great and all, but I'm not perfect like you. And that's how sweet. Little do you know that I'm lying to you your entire childhood.
Oh, sweet summer child.
Sweet summer child. I'm anything but perfect. A bunch of people are dead or are going to die because I decided to have kids with the commander of the watch. Not that you know that, because I'm still going to insist that to you that you are not a strong boy. So then we get news that Rhaenys is arriving on Dragonback. It's like, okay, here's where it happens. Here's where shit's going to really start to build up.
Mm-hmm.
So she meets with Rhaenyra and Daemon and tells them that, and they're like, what news of Lord Corlys? Fuck that. Fuck my husband. Your daddy's dead. And
what?
Like, she cuts right to the chase, which is refreshing. If only she was the showrunner of the show. Viserys is dead. They've usurped the line of succession and planted Aegon on the throne in front of everyone in the Dragon Pit. That's the thing that I didn't catch last episode, is that he is anointed in the Dragon Pit, which makes a little more sense about how Rhaenys comes up through the floor, but not a lot more. They just happen to be right underneath Maelys. Or right above Maelys. Anyway.
Lots of instant dead people,
Mm-hmm.
No biggie.
She's a hero,
small
though.
folk.
Yeah.
I liked on Reddit that I saw that somebody posted just like a little paint drawing, like MS Paint,
mm-hmm. of
like, how did she not bonk her head? And it was just like a dragon, like just stick figure type drawing, and like should bonk. Like, and it was asking other people like to what their theories were on how Rhaenys didn't bonk her head while going through the floor.
Not even the bonking the head. How does she not get knocked off with falling earth? How is she not dirty?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. Yeah, I didn't ask you about, you weren't here last episode, Mike. Do you have anything to add about the bullshit of last episode?
No, that was about it. I kind of feel about the last episode almost similar to this episode. Like wasn't a bad episode, but by episodes 9 and 10, I feel like it's still kind of dragging on.
Mm-hmm.
And
House of the Drags On.
I don't know. Yes, House of the Drags On.
All right. Well, so Daemon's like, my brother was killed. Like Viserys is slain. He says, like, he didn't die in his sleep.
This is hilarious. Like, he's first asks, how did he die? What? You fucking saw him with this hole in his face.
He's not good.
Hole in his eye, no arm. You were there when he made that long ass walk to where he could barely even walk, and you helped him on the throat. What the fuck?
Did he die of natural causes?
Oh, he must have been slain. What? This makes no sense to me that he fucking says that.
Well, this is what he would go to, right? Because the whole thing with them, like, he doesn't trust the Hightowers. He's never trusted Otto. So
right.
He's dead. They've usurped Rhaenyra's succession. Obviously, they killed Viserys to put Aegon on the throne. While and the whole reason, like, this has happened before before Daemon and Rhaenyra even find out that Viserys is dead. They weren't even invited to the coronation.
I think Daemon just makes shit up in his head just so he can fucking go to war. He's like, what? No. Yeah, this means war.
Yeah,
ha! Finally! Let's burn shit!
Dracarys. Yeah, maybe. But he's like, yeah, and you didn't burn all those people when you came up through the floor. You survived this whole thing. It's like, I was locked up, but I got away on my dragon. He's like, you didn't burn them to death? He's like, hey, all
of Reddit.
Yeah.
Speaking through Daemon. You didn't burn them?
Why didn't you do this? And she's like, listen, there's going to be blood spilled for this, but I'm not going to be the one to kickstart my Dracarys. And but regardless, because I didn't kickstart my Dracarys, the Greens are coming for you, Rhaenyra, and your children. And
ooh, the greens, you say?
Oh, I fucking hate that. I don't know why.
Intimidating.
I don't know why I fucking hate it so much, but I do.
I can't stand it.
I do not like the fact that the characters in the show are referring to the teams as the greens and the blacks. It's.
I'm pretty sure it's in the books as well. So, which is fucking still stupid. I would leave that part out.
I think it makes, with what I know of Fire and Blood, it makes sense that like historically they would do that. And there's somebody playing the flute behind you, Mike, and that's the Pied Piper.
Yeah.
Aqualung, dun 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 dun. Don't call them the greens. But either way, all this news triggers an early labor for Nera, and I'm not going to talk about this too much because honestly, Mike, I'm fucking over the childbirth stuff in this show, and I don't want any more of it.
Yep, I don't either. I mean, I kind of thought it was pointless.
It was pointless to show it at this point. I mean, I know there's going to be so many people that are like, "Oh, this is the way it was, and this isn't a show for fucking kids and stuff like that. It's going to blah blah blah." It's like you don't fucking see Luke getting chewed up by the dragon, so like, why do you need to show?
But yeah, but I get it. I get it. I fucking get it. Like, I'm not a dum-dum. Yeah, birth was hard back then, but it still is today. I mean, I get it. I don't know this. I don't feel this adds even much to Rhaenyra's character.
Yeah, this adds
character.
At least the childbirth stuff. So yeah, I mean, as soon as I turned my head away, as soon as there was that gush of awfulness that came out of her dress, I was like, nope, I'm turning away and I'm going to wait.
Not me. I laughed. I was like, yeah, show me that little dead baby.
I'm so over it having a toddler. It's like, no, I'm fucking sick of this. So I don't know how gnarly the scene actually continues to be. Sarah watched it and she's like, oh, that's so awful and so sad. It's like, yeah, but I get the gist of that. I don't need to see it.
Yeah, and it is awful and it is sad. So I'm not saying like, oh, no biggie or whatever, but
you can tell that story without showing the graphic nature of it because we don't. At some point, it doesn't add to the story. It's just there for the sake of shock and gratuity, which I don't know if I still would have had that opinion pre-kid or even during Game of Thrones. I think it's just, it seems like half of the season is that. So I know like, it's not literally half the season is this, but it feels like that way. It's like all the graphic stuff is that because we don't see Daemon cutting the crab feeder in half. We don't see him smash his wife's skull. The only thing we see is maybe Joffrey getting his head caved in. Like that's the graphic violence. Even the eye getting cut. Even the fight with Aemon where he loses the eye isn't that graphic. He immediately puts his hand over the eye and it's blood. It's like they choose to focus on the childbirth stuff.
So the gratuity or how graphic it is doesn't bother me. Like I don't think, I don't need to see it. It's just I don't see what this is adding to the story. I don't know. But maybe instead of that, maybe we add a little humor or something, you know? Maybe some boobs. I almost saw a boob in that scene, so that's what I was looking at. Maybe that's why all the bloodiness didn't bother me. I almost saw.
I was trying to figure.
Side. I was like,
I was trying to figure out like when Rhaenyra's yelling, like get out if she's yelling at the baby or if she's yelling at the people. Because
she's yelling at the baby.
Oh, is she? Okay.
She's yelling at the baby. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Because she's in like horrible pain. And so, it hurts. Oh, it hurts having a baby. Oh.
And I said I wasn't going to spend too long on this, but we spent a lot of time on this already.
I kind of baited you into it.
Go away, baiting you into it. Meanwhile, while this is happening, Daemon's fucking nowhere around. He's planning the war and defense of the war, but you can still hear her screaming. Like Dragonstone is apparently not a big place. So Rhaenyra sends for her sons and tells Jace that, whatever throne I'm heir to, like you're now the heir after her. So nobody is allowed to do anything about this whole coup without her approval. And Jace goes downstairs and tells people this, and it's basically ignored. He's like, you're not going to do anything. No such thing. The queen says, and everybody ignores him. And Daemon basically gives the order. Everybody at the table follows Daemon's lead. He's like, I will show you what true loyalty to the house is. Takes him outside where there's two of the Queen's Guard and makes them re-swear their fealty to Rhaenyra or get a quick death by dragon. Or if you're thinking about faking it because your only two options are fealty or death and you're going to say, well, I'm going to stay alive and then turn my coat later, then you're going to die painfully. So it's like, fuck, what?
This scene didn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make this.
I didn't understand why the fuck they even had it, really. Or like, yeah, of course these guys are going to be like, yeah, I'm all for Rhaenyra. Yeah. When you put a fucking dragon in there, like, cake or death? Yeah.
This was a pointless scene. This doesn't show anything except like Daemon's ruthlessness, but we're going to get that in other ways. Jace, I don't think Jace really learns anything from this either. Like, we don't see like, here be the lesson. So it's just basically the Manager of the Month award goes to Daemon Targaryen for the beatings will continue until morale approves approach.
Because he said something, didn't he say to him, like, here, I'm going to teach you about loyalty, or like, what true loyalty is?
That's not true loyalty. That's
not even close.
That's the opposite. That's the opposite of true loyalty.
Daemon's a fucking idiot.
Daemon's really fucking dumb this episode. So Rhaenyra is preparing her stillborn child for cremation with the Silent Sisters standing back or aside, which, again, that gives us more than the actual dragging out the birth thing or like showing all that, which
mummy baby.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, whatever. So we have the funeral, and it's kind of a callback to the funeral for Emma and, is it Balon or Baelor? Baelor was the builder. Did they name him Balon? Fuck. What was the heir for the day's name?
I don't know. Baby. Baelor. Balon.
It is Baelor.
Is the dragon?
Is Balon? Fuck, man. God damn these names. Anyway. Heir for a day. Anyway, Sir Eric, not Eric, arrives with the. Boy, did you enjoy that, Mike? Oh, you don't watch the behind the scenes.
Eric and Eric. That's what we're gonna say. Right.
That's what I've been calling.
That's exactly what I was gonna say to you. Like, we're definitely going to say Eric and Eric.
That's what I did.
Said that on the. I only listened to half of your episode, last episode, but I got to that part. I was like, yeah.
Did you get to the part
this is stupid as shit? Yes. Really fun. When you replayed the audio,
that cleared that right up.
Well, with Eric and Eric, like, come on,
try harder, please. Like they fucking renamed Theon's sister for less. But yeah, Eric arrives with the crown of King Viserys. King Viserys the Peaceful, and swears his oath to Rhaenyra. He retakes his White Cloak oaths in front of Rhaenyra.
How did you just get there and just walk up? I thought they were fucking looking out for anybody coming. I know, but like,
small boat.
They should have known that he was coming up, right?
That was the other thing.
Should have been alerted to that. I don't know, because he just casually walks up, and then like. Their two guards are like, oh, wait, what is this? And pull their swords out.
It's like, oh, it's just one guy. Well, it'll be fine. But that was the other thing that I was thinking about. Yeah, they're keeping watch for this. It's like, if the Greens try anything, it'll be by stealth. But it wasn't really going to be by stealth because Otto tells Sir Harold Whitecastle to like take his men and be swift, but they're in armor and they're in cloaks. They're like not fucking assassins. They're knights. So it's like this is another thing that doesn't make sense, but it's not enough for me to
sneak around in armor.
Yeah. You play Dungeons and Dragons, if you wear heavy plate, you get a disadvantage on your stealth checks. So anyway, Daemon takes the crown and he's staring at it for a while Eric is reaffirming his oaths, which he doesn't need a dragon to. That's true loyalty, Daemon. Take a note.
Yep. I thought Damon was going to start beating the shit out of him with that crown.
Oh, like he does with the messenger for
yeah, because it was kind of shot that way, and I'm like, uh-oh.
And actually, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he's taking it and he's staring at it for a while. Either, I don't know if he's in envy, it's like, this should be my crown, or if it's like a realization, like he's holding Viserys' crown. It's like, oh yeah, my brother's actually dead now. It's hard to know because Matt Smith as Daemon has the same expression for every emotion. He's like, I'm gonna fuck this crown because it's just the fuck me look is the only look that Daemon has. But instead he crowns Rhaenyra and everyone bows except Rhaenys.
Yeah, she doesn't. That was in my notes. I'm like, she doesn't bow.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
I think it's because
it doesn't mean much, and Rhaenyra probably doesn't give a shit.
So yeah, I don't know if that's like a silent protest still because she's not really taking sides. I've seen in comment sections and I think on Reddit that she doesn't bow because she can't bow because she's not because now that Corlys is alive,
she's old.
Yeah, her knees. she doesn't have a life alert. That because Corlys is now well, she can't swear her house to either side. It has to be Corlys that does that. That's what I read. I'm fine with that. I'm also fine with it being Rhaenys saying, I don't know about you yet. So either way, it's fine.
I think it's more her being neutral, I guess. I didn't see it as like her being like defiance in defiance of Rhaenyra's crown or something.
Yeah. I agree. I think either way you take it, like even if it's just something, because you don't have to explain everything, but you have to explain some things. And this is one of the things that you don't really need to explain. This being open to interpretation, I think is good.
This all during the funeral. And another thing about this baby dying, I didn't care about this baby dying. They didn't even bother trying to build this baby's character. I mean, what I care about this baby?
Well, they don't build Baelor or Balon's either. So, I mean, they don't. And we don't even. Hey, Mike, that baby could still be alive. We don't see it die by. We don't see the end of that funeral.
And we didn't see it burn.
It's the White Walker. It's the first White Walker.
Hey, he was just
the heir for a day.
Yeah,
there's
heir to something, but I don't know what.
The fucking these people that can write, you can just write anything online and have it fucking in somebody's news feed. Because in my Google News, because I follow House of the Dragon stuff, I get this dumbass article like, is Viserys the White Walker with a spear in Game of Thrones? It's like, I don't even need to click on this article. The answer to that is no. And that's just something I feel like I'm going to start doing with our social media. I'm just going to take these fucking dumb posts and say, you don't have to read this. The answer to this is no. It's stupid that this fucking article exists.
Yeah, I get that on my Google News feed too. And like I've clicked on a couple of them.
It's like I didn't need to read.
This has to be ridiculous. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It is.
Yeah, and it's then they basically say it's basically like all these articles are like, no, this is fucking dumb. But some people are saying this, and we're going to get clicks. It's like I'm going to deny you clicks now. I'm going to take screenshots of these and keep you from getting clicks for your bullshit. Meanwhile, click on our bullshit. Share our bullshit everywhere. So we're back at the painted table. And we're going to be at the painted table a lot. And we should be, because the painted table is real fucking cool. And it should be the next season intro. And
that would be great. Yeah.
So everybody's...
I don't ever watch the intro. Like ever. I skip it every time.
I started to. I think I watched it this time, but that's because the remote control was too far away from me to skip it. Because I went up to...
Because I can't see what the fuck the symbols are anyway.
They don't make sense. Like, unless
it doesn't make any sense to me.
Unless you have book knowledge, it tells you nothing.
Right.
I assume. Like you.
And then they use the same damn music, which I love the Game of Thrones intro music, but I really wish this had its own thing.
They should have done the major key one when Rhaenyra flies in for the first time in episode 1. But oh well. So everybody starts getting out their game pieces to play Risk, and they light the table up from underneath. And I really want to know how to do this because I want to make a table like this. Like, I want this to be the gaming table at my house. And I want to be able to do a similar effect. So it looks badass. So as soon as some other YouTuber, like, I'm looking at you, Bob, I like to make stuff. Show me how to do that so I can make that table. Anyway, Rhaenyra, fresh off the funeral, arrives and she's like, all right, what's our status? And Daemon gives their current numbers, and they'll be able to defend Dragonstone pretty easily, but conquest of King's Landing, not so much. So they start talking about houses. And Rhaenyra says, well, my mother was an Arryn, so we should have support from the Vale, except for the fact that my husband killed his last wife. Allegedly. And then
with his divorce rock.
Yeah. The annulment.
Thanks, Reddit.
The annulment stone. It's just been revoked. Their maester, I guess this is a maester. I didn't see chains, but
I don't know. I missed that.
I look at him and I picture like one of the guys from Monty Python, though. Like, it's hard for me to take him as a serious character because he looks like I've seen him in something comedic before. I don't think I have, but he mentions that Riverrun was an ally to her father, and they've already sent ravens to Lord Grover, who, by all accounts, I understood to be a cute and furry, lovable blue monster, but Rhaenyra said that he's fickle and easily swayed, and that he'll need to be convinced of their position. So Daemon says, I'm going to treat with Grover myself. And there's a lot of them staring back and forth at each other, and I don't know why. Why do we get these stare things? Is this like a what the fuck, you're going to bail on me, or Baelor on me, or whatever? But as the conversation continues, the men are like, what about Winterfell and Storm's End? Remember those houses? They're remember those guys that matter in 200 years? We learn that House Stark has never forgotten an oath, and with the Starks, the rest of the North will follow. But Rhaenyra says that Boros Baratheon, fucking dumb name, will need to be reminded of his father's oath. And then asks, what news from Driftmark from Rhaenyra? And we find out that Corlys is recovered and his fever broke. He's headed to Dragonstone. And Daemon's like, to swear for the queen. And as they start making a list of their enemies, some other old dude, I don't know who this old dude was, and I don't think the subtitles told us who either of those two old dudes were.
Don't know.
But he's like, why are we talking about dudes? Because you've got dragons. You have a power that's not been seen since the day of old Valyria. And we start getting, Daemon's like, oh, dragons? Let's talk about dragons. We get a list of almost all the dragons in the show at this point as Daemon and Rhaenyra do their back and forth. So the Greens have 3 adults, according to Daemon, but I don't know any of their names. Well, except for Vhagar. I don't remember what Aegon or Helena's dragons are named. But they have Syrax. Syrax is an actual dragon. I kept thinking, am I remembering this wrong? Is there a Syrax, or am I just fucking up Syraxes?
That's Rhaenyra's dragon.
Yeah.
Syrax is Rhaenyra's dragon.
And Syraxes is Daemon's. And I kept like thinking Syrax. Like, that can't be right.
I think it's Caraxes, not Syraxes.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that, so
I don't know.
But I thought that's what they said.
These fucking names, man.
Yeah.
It's starting to wear thin.
They should just be like simple dog name, like Spot, Scaly.
Here's my dragon Shaggy Dog.
Yeah.
But we have Syrax, Syraxes.
Socks. Here's my dragon Socks.
Yeah. Here's Bluey, Bingo, Bandit, and Chili. And
out there. Yeah.
And Malus, whose Rhaenys is dragon. Daemon keeps promising, or maybe vaguely threatening House Valerian that they have. Oh, we have Malus. If not, let me show you my managerial style.
I think isn't Melee's, I think is like the next biggest dragon next to Valor or Vhagar. I think. Besides, I think that dragon that we see next, or when Daemon's going to.
From my understanding, the dragon that we see next is the second biggest dragon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, all right.
But you need the internet and people in the comment section to tell you that, because the show tells you nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And the Strong Boys, they have Vermax, Arax, and Tyraxes, which, by the way, Damon, Joffrey's like 6, so you don't really have Tyraxes, unless you're going to send Joffrey off to war, which... Bela has Moon Dancer. It's a beautiful night for a Moon Dancer.
Ooh.
But Rhaenyra reminds Daemon that none of their dragons have been to war, which, meanwhile, neither have any of the Green dragons, I don't think, except Vhagar. But then he's like,
just Vhagar.
And he's not even listening. He's like, and then there's also he's just steamrolling ahead. And then there's unclaimed dragons. He loves talking dragons, this guy. He's that guy that knows sports statistics from baseball games 50 years ago. He's like, Sea Smoke still resides on Driftmark, hasn't taken another rider. Vermithor and Silverwing dwell on the Dragon Mount, still riderless. And then there's 3 wild dragons that live on Dragonstone. And Rhaenyra's like, Jesus Christ, I get it. You love dragons, but who's going to ride these dragons, dude? You going to fucking put a foot on 2 different dragons and Legend of Zorro your way to King's Landing?
A foot? What? Laris comes in.
Dragons have 4 feet. I jerk off to all the dragons.
Love dragon feet.
Would you? Oh, yeah, because you weren't here for that. What did you think of that, Mike?
It's fucking weird, dude. It was hilarious. I didn't know what was going on until, like, she put her feet to the side. Because I guess I just wasn't paying attention because I'm like, what the fuck is going on with these 2? They're acting real weird. Mm-hmm. Why? I don't know. But yeah, she's taking off her side. I thought she was just like, oh, my feet hurt after all this long day.
But nope.
No. Then she turns to the side and he starts wagging. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, all right. And then, like, being in the feet, I don't think it's creepy, but I guess.
Oh, I do.
But that's fucking creepy.
I'll king shame.
You're
like, you shouldn't king shame. No, some you should. Uncle Fucker, Rhaenyra and Daemon fetishes should be shamed, and people that jerk off to feet should be shamed. I will make that our official motto. Watchers on the couch, we king shame.
Whatever.
If you actually got horny by any of the Viserys sex scenes with Alicent, you should be king shamed, I think. But but he's still, she's like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna fucking do the Van Damme splits across the truck against the dragons to ride all these fucking dragons that we don't have riders for? But he's still not listening. He's like, Dragonstone has 13 dragons to their 4 dragons, and I've got more eggs incubating. We'll ride dragon eggs. We're going to ride that. We're going to get toddlers to get the baby dragons. We're going to fuck shit up, man. We need to have more. I'm getting you pregnant so you have more, so you have more small children to ride these small dragon eggs.
Season 2 is going to fucking open up with Daemon riding a sleigh. And there's going to be fucking dragons. Like,
we're going to have a time jump. They've had more fucking dragon rider children. It's going to be Daemon daycare. Where it's like Daemon fucking 4 toddlers on dragons. Joffrey, slightly older. He's like 8 now on like a greyhound sized dragon. But,
does one of the Valyrian kids does not have a dragon, right?
Rhaena does not still, because right. when he says because
her dragon was stolen, right? Wasn't it supposed to be Vhagar?
She was going to claim Vhagar, and Aemon took her, but when Daemon says still riderless, he kind of looks at Rhaena, and she's like, dragons.
I would very much like one. Thank you.
I would love to ride a dragon. But they're interrupted by Sir Eric, who tells the queen a ship has been sighted offshore with a 3-headed green dragon banner. Like, they fucking whipped this thing up in a day, this new dragon banner, these sails. Because Dragonstone, not a far flight from King's Landing.
Nope, not far.
So we flash forward a little bit, and like episode 2, Daemon and Otto are on the bridge here. Otto has a message for Princess Rhaenyra and will only deliver it to her. And just like episode 2, Rhaenyra flies in on Dragonback and lands. And she says, I'm actually Queen Rhaenyra now, and you're all fucking traitors to the realm. And Otto's like, whatever. Here's King Aegon's terms for peace. You get to keep Dragonstone, which will pass to your true-born son, Jace. So he's fucking... They're like, oh, no. We'll go ahead and say you're bastard to Trueborn. Luke will be confirmed as legitimate heir to Driftmark, which he already was a couple days ago. So that was all. They had a big meeting about it, and somebody lost his head for it. So thanks for giving me something I already had. Her kids with Daemon will have places of high honor at court, and they'll pardon any knight or lord that conspired against the king's ascent. And Daemon's like, I would rather feed my sons to dragons than have them carry shields and cups for your drunken usurper cunt of a king. Mike, it's the final cunt for the cunt count of the season, which I think, unless I did my math wrong, I think brings us to 8. 8 cunts! Ha 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 ha! And Otto tells Rhaenyra that the succession changed when Viserys had a son, and it's a shame that you and he were the last to realize it. Which, meanwhile, Viserys didn't realize it. He died. So Rhaenyra walks right up, takes his pin, and throws it off the bridge, saying, you're no more the hand than Aegon is king, you fucking traitor. Should have just pushed him off the edge.
Dude, when... Okay, so right after this, he's like, Maester. I thought the Maester was going to bring him another pin. Like, he just puts another one. This happens a lot. I come prepared.
Hands him a box of Cracker Jacks. He fucking fishes his hand in there, pulls out a pin.
You wouldn't believe how many times a day people do that to me.
People really don't like me.
Yeah.
Oh, what you going to do?
Happened 5 times on the way here. One was the Maester.
Otto tells her that the queen awaits her answer, gives her a page from the book that Rhaenyra ripped out of, I guess, Alicent's Bible or whatever that was.
She saved it all this time.
Well, that doesn't mean anything to me. I tore it out because I didn't give a shit about it. And Daemon says, oh, you want the answer? She can have the answer now, stuffed in her daddy's mouth along with his withered dick.
Yeah.
Let's end this mummers farce, which it's 2 in our mummers farce count for the season, Mike. 2 mummers farces. Ah, ha, ha. So everyone draws their swords, and Daemon tells Eric to bring him Otto Hightower so he can do it himself. I'll cut off his dick, shove it in his mouth. And Syrax roars, and again, Otto has himself... Otto's not smart. Otto has himself in a position here again on the bridge of Dragonstone where he's just royally fucked. Like, this is the second time Otto would be absolutely killed by Daemon if Rhaenyra wasn't here to save his ass.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, nope, King's Landing will have their answer under the mark. Again, and this is no shit. Like, Otto owes his life to Rhaenyra twice now because he was absolutely going to die both in episode 2 and in this episode, if not for Rhaenyra.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe he didn't die. Damon's probably like, whatever. I'll get your dick later.
Oh, I'll have your dick.
You're a bit obsessed with his dick, aren't you?
I like dragons and withered cocks. So, yeah, we're back around the painted table again, and Damon's like, this is easy math. We have more dragons than Aegon. And Rhaenyra says, I know the old histories from my dad, and I don't want to rule over a kingdom of ash and bone. And as a queen, what is my duty? To ensure peace and unity, or that she'll sit on the throne regardless of the cost? Daemon tells her that the enemy's already declared war. What the fuck are you going to do about it in front of all these people? And she's like, oh, everybody get the fuck out of here, because we need to talk about secret Targaryen stuff. So she drops that my duty is more than our ambitions. A song of ice and fire. And he's like looking at her like, what? What is this dumb shit you're about to drop on me? He doesn't know anything about it. And God damn it, I'm sick of this coming up. and wish the show could be its own show. And apparently,
that's Damon's pissed off about it too.
Damon feels
like the rest of the audience. He's the audience. Like, quit fucking mentioning this shit in the show.
I'm sick of seeing the dagger.
Silly.
He grips her neck and is like, dreams didn't make us kings, dragons did. And then she's like, as soon as she can breathe again, she's like, oh, he never told you.
It was weird how she said it. Oh, he never told you.
Oh, forget the fact that I was just abused by my spouse hours after burying my child.
Damon's like, you're lucky I don't have my divorce rock with me.
She's had the worst, and the day gets worse. This is her fucking worst day. So she has a stillbirth. She has a funeral. She gets fucked.
Was this all?
This is all the same day.
I don't think so. You think so?
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't think that was the same day.
Yeah. This is all this. Well, I guess I don't know. I don't know.
I was assuming it could be a couple days, or I don't even know. But yeah,
I mean, maybe
you're
it's
probably
the next
right.
day. It's probably 2 days. I guess I don't know how long it takes to prepare the baby, but
who knows? It could all be the same day. Literally, like I don't know.
If it's not the same day, it's within 2 days.
Yeah.
Because they have to fucking bolt as soon as Rhaenys leaves. Mm-hmm. They have to get on that boat and go. So, I lost my spot in the notes. But yeah, so she has the stillbirth, finds out her dad's dead, buries her child, and gets choked by her husband. Like the only thing is she's gotten a crown so far. But it's just weird. So I don't know. Either way, Corlys wakes up in Dragonstone with Rhaenys, and she says she's pissed. He abandoned her, and he's like, "Well, I didn't know what to do after I lost everything." She's like, "We lost everything, you son of a bitch." And he's like, "No, you're right. What I did was bullshit. I'm sick of the crown. Oh, and by the way, your brother's dead. He called the sons bastards in front of the king while he was quick to bury you and get the throne for himself." He's like, "Oh, well, fuck him, I guess. But we're not going to swear for Rhaenyra or Aegon. No more throne bullshit. We're going to retire to Highgarden with our grandchildren." And Rhaenys is like, "Dude, Jace, Luke, and Joffrey are claimants to the throne. They're not going to be safe as long as Aegon's king." And Corlys says, "Well, we can't swear for Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra destroys everything she touches. She was complicit in our son's death." And Rhaenys says,
"Look at that baby she destroyed."
Yeah. Rhaenys says, "She's the only one holding the realm together and showing restraint at this point." And right after that said, we get while they're talking about that, we see like Rhaenyra at the painted table. So Corlys and Rhaenys step down into the hall. He's like, gets to the painted table. He's like, "You need some more Warhammer miniatures on this table. You don't have enough to play." And Rhaenyra is like, "Well, we hope to get more pieces from House Stark, Aaron, and Baratheon. They all swore that they would show up for game night." And
she's like, "Man, if I could just go back to King's Landing, my dad had tons of them."
Tons of pieces, yes. And Corlys is like, "Well, House Hightower said that they would come and play too, didn't they?" She's like, "Well, you said you were going to play too. So what's up? Do you have some dwarven artillery militaries hidden in your cane to put on the table?" But no, Corlys declares for the queen, saying they have the full support of the house and the fleet. They have common cause, common blood. This Hightower treason cannot stand.
This cannot stand, man.
Yeah, this aggression. Corlys says that, despite my fucking around in the Stepstones and getting my throat cut, we actually have the Stepstones. We control the Narrow Sea. We can
about fucking time.
Yeah, we can blockade King's.
Only took 20 years.
Yeah, we can blockade King's Landing. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll have that. We'll have the Narrow Sea. We'll have the Gullet." And Rhaenys says, "I'll patrol the Gullet myself on Dragonback. I'll disappear for 6 years. It's my turn."
Yeah.
Rhaenyra says, "Even with all the dragons, we're gonna lay siege to the Red Keep, surrounded by dragons." Rhaenyra says, "We still need men, and we need the support of House Aaron, Stark, and Baratheon." And Jace is like, "Send us. Dragons are faster than ravens. They're more impressive. Corlys is like, the prince is right. The prince is right, bitch. So Rhaenyra is hesitant, but also ends up agreeing. So Jace is going to go north to hit up the Eyrie and Winterfell, while Luke goes to Storm's End. And Rhaenyra is getting ready to see them off. And she tells them that they say that the Targaryens are closer to gods than men, which don't fucking sell that to a teenage boy. Man, because I've been there once. We go through enough stuff without putting potential demi-godhood into our heads. It's not a good idea. But she says that if they're to undertake this, they're going to go as messengers, not warriors. Swear this to me. They swear it. And she tells Luke that Storm's End is a short flight and that he has Baratheon blood from his grandmother's side, which, no, he doesn't. You're going to lie to your kid before he dies. But whatever. She says, Lord Boros is a proud man and he will be honored to host a prince, and that she expects that he will receive a warm welcome. So the fact that Luke has gotten more than 3 sentences this episode wasn't a hint enough that they were going to kill him like they did Laena and Harwin. This certainly does. It's like, nope, this is bad. So 3 dragons fly off. We have Luke and Jace for sure, but there's another in the back. I don't know who it is. I'm assuming that it's Rhaenys off to patrol the gullet, because
I guess so.
Yeah, they don't say.
I mean, Luke fucking does go the wrong way though, so that's cool.
Every way is north if you go long enough. If you go north for long enough, eventually it's south.
Yeah, he's going north with him. Like, he does turn, but he's still he's just going northeast.
Yeah.
Or I guess northwest.
Everybody knows Planetos is flat, and anyway,
he'll make it around eventually, right?
Yeah. So Daemon is.
So when Rhaenyra was like, "Oh, you'll have a warm welcome," like, yeah, I was like, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
If not dead, he's gonna get fucked up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or imprisoned, or I was like, yeah, it's not going to go good.
Yeah. So Daemon's somewhere, and I guess this is the Dragon Mount. I assume so. This is the where the untamed dragons are, but he's singing Wet Ass Pussy in High Valyrian as he goes down with a torch to see this huge fuck off dragon. And
he's singing, "Dragon, I'm just visiting. Please don't burn me."
Behind the dragon's balls.
Behind the dragon's eyeballs.
And speaking of the dragon's eyeballs, they do this thing where there's this reflection of the dragon eye in Daemon's eye, and they kind of merge together. And I don't know if that's just like a reflection trick thing, or if this is supposed to be like Targaryen dragon bonding magic stuff. But anyway, he's got a huge dragon now. He's got another huge dragon.
If he is bonding, does that mean he's going to? I mean, he can only ride one dragon at a time.
Yeah.
So is he gonna? I got a bigger dragon.
God,
I'm taking that one.
He just cucks.
And then he gives.
He just cucks Syraxes.
And then he's gonna give Syraxes to his daughter.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. Ride them both at the same time. No, see. He's going to ride on Syraxes, and Syraxes is going to ride on that dragon. It's going to be dragon on dragon on dragon. Yeah.
He's going to make a Voltron of dragons.
Yes. Oh, dude, that would fuck up a whole... He's going to have to, man. Dude, fucking Vhagar is ginormous.
Yeah. I love the...
Dragons, assemble!
God, he's like, I'll form the head. A Voltron of dragons. That's the next fucking George R. Martin book.
It is. It's going to be 3 dragons. That's why the Targaryen symbol is a 3-headed dragon. It's because the dragons are riding on top of each other. Just, a smaller, big dragon, little bigger, smaller, little smaller. 3 dragons.
So then,
that's why.
And that's the end. That's the end of the Daemon stuff for this episode. Actually, it's not, but it really is. So now Luke's flying to Storm's End, and it's late and it's rainy, and he lands and he sees a huge fuck off dragon, who we all know is Vagar. Which, by the way, this
should have noped the fuck out of there.
He should have noped the fuck out. This is one. Also, Vagar's one fucking saggy ass dragon.
Yeah, well, Vagar's old as fuck too. So, and like dragons, I think keep growing. They never stop growing. Mm-hmm. So I guess, yeah, it's just. But definitely gets a neck like mine.
Yeah, Vagar definitely has old person neck. So we see that Aemond is indeed already there because Vagar's there. But let's also not forget the fact that Otto says that they've sent people to these 3 places when he's on the bridge with them. Boros.
Yeah. And well, who knows? I thought he was maybe full of shit on the bridge.
No,
because he says, oh, there's other people considering our offers. Like, that's just what people say when they're negotiating shit. You know, like, no, yeah, there are totally other people considering our offers.
Yes. We wish you luck in your future endeavors.
The weirdest thing about this about fucking Luke here is when he goes in and then he sees Aemond, he's like, huh? like what? Who the fuck did you expect? Like, it's his dragon.
Yeah.
Of course he's going to be in there.
Remember that guy?
And he looks surprised. Oh, I didn't know you would be here.
So Luke's not, Lord Boros isn't giving him a warm welcome. We see that
that bastard.
He gets the message and he looks at it, and then he remembers that he doesn't know how to read. So
I can't
read. So he has the Maester read it, and then the Maester whispers in his ear, and then Boros gets pissy about being reminded of his father's oaths and that Luke doesn't offer him anything. He's like, Aemond at least comes with a marriage proposal. Do you have a marriage? Which of my daughters are you going to marry? He's like, well, I'm already betrothed to my cousin. He's like, oh, so you're empty-handed. Well, how about at least a handy? And it's like, no, not going to do that. It's like, well, then get the fuck out. He's like, okay, I'll take the message to the queen. And Aemond's like, wait a minute, Lord Strong. Not so fast. There's a debt to be paid. And Luke is like, I'm not here as a warrior. I'm not going to fight you. And Aemond's like, that's because I'll kick your ass. It's not going to be a fight. Anyway, just an eye will do. He takes his eye patch off, and we see he has a sapphire in his eye socket.
Yeah, he has a pretty butt plug in his eye.
which, why? Like, why do you have that? Like, one, unless you rounded and polished that's got to be really fucking uncomfortable. And also, if you have some badass bling in your fucking eye socket, why are you wearing an eye patch? Unless it just doesn't. Well, I fly on the dragon, it just pops out all the time. So it's like, I think he probably did that in the spur of the moment. Like, he's like, oh fuck, Luke's here. He turns his back around. He's like fishing around in his pockets. Gold coin? No, that's bad luck to put that on the eye. My favorite Pog Slammer with a flying pig. Can't do that one. What's a Werther's original? How did that get in there? Sapphire. That'll look cool. So, and the Boros's guards are just looking. What the fuck is this guy doing? Is Aemond's got his back turned, trying to fucking slip this thing under his eye. All right. Yeah, this guy, like, Aemon's not cool, guys. We think Aemon's cool, but this guy's a fucking dweeb. Like, if it wasn't for the...
I wonder if he has ones where he can switch out, like Last Action Hero.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because Tywin Lannister has his fucking 8-ball and his smiley face eye. It all comes together. Last Action Hero. I forgot until just when you said that. It's like, oh yeah, Tywin Lannister is that guy in Last Action Hero. Charles Dance. Anyway, Luke says I'm not stabbing my eye out. I'm not fucking dumb. He's like, oh, then you're a coward and a traitor.
It'd been awesome if he was like, oh, okay, all right, seems fair. Oh god, here you go.
It's like, I don't owe you a debt. You were going to bash my head with a divorce rock. It's like, this was self-defense, you stupid fuck. So he's like, draws his knife. And he's like, "Give me your eye, bastard!" And Boros is like, "No, fuck this! Like, you aren't doing this under my roof. I'm an asshole, but I'm not that much of an asshole. Escort the boy back to his dragon." So Luke takes off, and it's still rainy and stormy. It's Storm's End. It rains all the time there. I would not want to be there. I would. It's worse than Seattle.
That's also the first time I think we've ever seen Storm's End. I don't think it was ever shown in Game
from
of
the
Thrones.
Outside. From the outside, I think you're right. I think we see the inside of it with Stannis and Melisandre.
Oh, okay.
Before they make the shadow baby.
No.
One of the tamer births in this fucking show, in this series, is having a demon shadow baby.
That one was still fucking bad though. I remember that one. That was awkward. Oh, that was weird. That was a weird one.
So yeah, so we all know what's coming. Vhagar shows up with Aemon on her back, and they're after the two of them, and Aemon is giggling like a loon, just like an anime villain. Mike, you're right. It's like
yep.
Luke tries to escape, but in doing so, Arax, Luke's dragon, breathes fire on Vhagar while Luke is trying to get him under control, which causes Aemon to lose control of Vhagar, and everybody's like, "No, obey me." So Luke breaks cloud cover, and we think, oh, maybe he gets away, but we don't really think that. When Vhagar bursts through the clouds and chomps on Luke and Arax, pieces raining down everywhere, and Aemon's like, "Oh no, boo-hoo." I was like, "Oh, whoops." What am I going to tell? What am I going to tell my mommy? We don't know. We won't know. That's the problem with this show and this episode. So Daemon enters the hall with the painted table. It's the only room in this in Dragonstone. And Rhaenyra is in there. All the important people are around. Daemon draws her away from the table towards the fireplace and tells her that Luke is dead. We assume. He doesn't say the words. And her back to us.
I mean, we didn't actually see him die, right? I mean, I don't know where that monster, I don't know where Vhagar got chomped on. You know, maybe he survived and fell in the ocean.
There's a big spray of stuff. It's a long drop. But her back is to us as she's grieving. And then she turns to face the camera, tears on her face. She's looking pissed, Mike. And the captions read, "Vengeful music plays." And that's it. That's the end of the episode, Mike. And season 1 of House of the Dragon.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Now Rhaenyra's mad and angry. Ooh.
Forget all this keeping the peace. Forget the Song of Ice and Fire. I'm going to kill everybody. But yeah, that's again, this episode was good on its own, but as a finale, not so great. Like the way this season ends, we don't get the Green's reaction to Aemon killing Luke. And then we're going to have to wait 2 years to get that, if we get it. Mm-hmm. So if season 2 picks up right there, I feel like that's asking for more pacing problems in this show, because, we've had 2 years to process that. If we haven't gone back and watched it or whatever, the impact of all that, of like Alicent smacking her kid and saying, "You did what?" It's not gonna have the impact.
That's how it will open. I don't have a lot of faith that it won't open that way.
Yeah. But so yeah, whatever, that impact is going to be muted. Like Game of Thrones, for whatever issues it had, never ended a season this way. The way House of the Dragon did. There was always an actual narrative break point. There was enough moving parts that they never did like a real cliffhanger like this. Like there was definitely, oh shit, this just happened. I can't wait to see what happens next. This was, it didn't just stop and say, "Whoop, see you in 2 years." Like even the death of Jon Snow wasn't a cliffhanger. He dies. That's the event. And we I don't know. It's Game of Thrones. The seasons of Game of Thrones ends the way a book would end. Like there's an immediate story that's wrapped up, and then here's like the thread of what's coming. And we don't get that here. The season ends the way a chapter would end in a book. Like if the season was a book and it stopped right there, you'd think like, where's the last 2 chapters of this book? I think.
Yeah, it feels like that. Now, if I was reading if I was reading a book and this is how it ended, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Like even if even if you knew there was
fuck this series, I'm not reading.
Even if you knew there was another book coming, it's like this book just ends. It just stops.
I'm like, wait, I thought we were getting this one, this part here. What?
So again, that's why I think, as I said earlier, this should have either been episode 9 or there should have been 11 episodes, because we get 5 episodes of season 1 setting us up for the last 5 episodes of season 1, which just set us up for season 2. It's like, what the fuck? And it doesn't even do that. Like, I think it failed setting us up for season 2, because I'm not leaving season 1 of House of the Dragon wanting more and being like, man, I can't fucking wait until season 2. I'm waiting for season 2 because season 1 doesn't feel finished. Mm-hmm. It's like, I mean, I love the acting, the music, the visuals were hit and miss, but I don't really, and I still don't care about anyone in this show. There's no characters I love. There's no characters I love to hate. Like that's the other problem that I have. I have characters that
I just hate them.
Yeah, there's characters I legit hate and want them off the show, or there's characters that I'm completely indifferent about at this point, because I'm not rooting for Daemon anymore because he fucking chokes his wife. Rhaenyra, they've just set her up to be another Cersei, or they've given her the threads to being another Cersei. So you can have all the best acting and music in the world isn't going to make up for the lack of that character investment potential. Like I know people are against that, like especially the book readers. Like this is a show where there are no good sides. It's like you need a side. You need a side to tell a good story. Otherwise, and we said it before, otherwise this isn't a story. It's just here's some shit that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any speculations on season 2, Mike?
Not really.
I got some.
We have my speculation will be like, yeah, it'll be drawn out and
people will die.
It'll be a little slow. Yeah, people are gonna die. Some of the realm will join Rhaenyra, and some of the realm will join them, and then they'll fight, and some people will die.
There's been so many posts or like articles about different showrunners or writers saying different things, and then George R. Martin will chime in about something, and it's like, Jesus Christ, what the hell is happening? So like the latest was George R. Martin says that they need 3 to 4 seasons to tell Dance of the Dragons. I'm like, fuck no, you don't. I don't like, that's not going to be good for anyone that isn't a diehard fan of the books. So, and having not read the books, only going by what I know from Game of Thrones, I know the dance is brought up in the A Song of Ice and Fire books too, but I don't remember any of that. And it's been a long time since I read them or read them. And I skim past history stuff that isn't pertinent to the actual story that's happening. But, assuming that, because we find out some stuff from both Joffrey and Shireen in Game of Thrones about what kind of happens here. So I'm assuming the Dance of Dragons ends when the Rhaenyra and Aegon stuff gets ultimately resolved. So I don't care what's all in Fire and Blood. 4 seasons of plotting through that plot point is going to be really thin. So I think Dance of Dragons is going to be season 2, and that's it. And season 3 will maybe they'll do 2 seasons, but I think that's it. Like if they're going to do a 5-season show, and even I guess it was one of the writers or showrunners said that this, again, I'm reiterating this that I said on an earlier episode, that they said this show is called House of the Dragons. It's not called Dance of Dragons. So I think everything after that will be the heirs after the dance. So, and because of Game of Thrones, I don't want to spoil.
I mean, we know in Game of Thrones, there's only a few Targaryens, so kind of know how this is going to go.
Sure, and because of the Joffrey stuff, I'm not going to spoil that for people, but I already know what happens with Aegon II and Rhaenyra and I can already speculate on what happens to some other characters based on that. So I'm not going to say such and such is going to die when I already have a good idea of who lives and dies. So my show speculation, though, I think the death of Luke, being a bastard or not, will strengthen the ties between the Blacks and the Valerians. And I think enough so that, because Rhaenyra doesn't have a hand right now, so I think she'll probably make either Corlys or Rhaenys Hand of the Queen, because I'd like it to be Rhaenys. I think that would be interesting since she was the queen that wasn't, so being the hand would be cool. But since she's a dragon rider and Corlys isn't, and he has a cane now, it's probably going to be Corlys.
Yeah, I think that'd be great if she was. I mean, she is the most capable. She's the best. She'd be the best hand for Rhaenyra.
I agree
for sure. She's wise. She's calm. Doesn't let her emotions, get the best of her. I guess she makes good decisions. Look, she could have burned everybody, but didn't. Yeah. It was like, not my war. So.
No, she might be, but yeah, I mean, like one of her it's not really her grandkid, but she'll be like, oh, how do now you know how it feels to lose a son, Rhaenyra, you fucking piece of shit that killed my boy. But yeah, I think based on who's around, I think Corlys will end up being hand because Rhaenys needs to fly around on a dragon. I think we've already started to see the deterioration of Rhaenyra and Daemon's relationship, because you shouldn't be an uncle fucker. And so that's going to come home to roost. I wouldn't be surprised if Rhaenyra has Daemon killed or whatever. If they're not together by the end of the season, that would not surprise me. Now, here's the thing that I think is really interesting. Is the Laenor aspect. Laenor poses a huge issue in this deviation from the books. He's dead in the books. We learned that. But the show makes it a point to keep him alive. And, Westworld's obviously soured my opinion of HBO showrunners in a way that Game of Thrones never did. But if I was a showrunner, the only reason I would make that deviation from the source material is if it was going to come into play later. Because Laenor's alive, and even if he and Carl are living their best life overseas, incognito, they're still going to get news about fucking dragon battles, yeah? Otherwise, the only reason to show that Laenor is alive is to show that Rhaenor and Daemon are the protagonist in the story without protagonists. And, I mean, Daemon kills a fucking dude, so they have a body to fake Laenor's death, and the way Laenor's written in this show, if he finds out that not only Rhaenyra's been usurped and the crown is coming to get her, like not only that, but one of the boys that you loved as your own was shredded by a fucking dragon. Like Laenor being a good and honorable person, accomplished soldier, dragon rider, all that stuff. Like the reason why Daemon said, well, let's not kill him. I mean, he's got to come back or get involved somehow, right?
Mm-hmm. You'd think.
So I think so. I think he should. Like, if you're going to make this change, then Laenor has to come back. Otherwise, it's kind of dumb. So I think we're going to see some more significant deviations from the book material, which again, that pisses people off, but because people were really pissed. Rhaenys wasn't even in King's Landing. Well, the book itself is a series of unreliable narrators. We've learned that real world history. And in real world history, that written history isn't necessarily completely factual. And we know that eyewitness testimony is kind of bullshit at times. And we also have George R. R. Martin, who's executive producer of this show, saying that the events of this show is what happens. And that the book Fire and Blood is other people's accounts of it. So there you go. Show is canon, book is not canon for the Dance of the Dragons. Mike, where do you think this season ranks as a whole if you were going to rank it amongst other Game of Thrones seasons?
In my opinion, I would rank it last. I like this even less than I like season 8 of Game of Thrones.
I agree.
And that was my least favorite of Game of Thrones. I haven't been even that interested in, I don't know. It's been discouraging even to do the podcast about it. I mean, it's not awful, it's still entertaining, but it's just kind of drags on. It's hasn't been as interesting
as we hoped
for me to watch, or as exciting.
How long has it been that way for you? Because for me, it's been after the time jump. Like if you had asked me at episode after the wedding of Laenor and Rhaenyra, I still would have said that this was probably better than like the last 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, and then it just really tanked at the end.
Yeah, I'd probably say mid-season. Season 5 or 6 maybe, where I feel that way. Maybe earlier. I don't know. It's all kind of mixing together now, so I'm not real sure.
Yeah.
And that definitely all the time jumps definitely has disconnected me from, I don't know, it a bit.
Yeah.
Every episode, I'm like, wait, what? Huh? What?
Well, I mean, I said it before, like if
this gradual, like
if we're doing these 5 episodes are necessary to tell these 5 episodes, which is necessary to do season 2, which is where the show starts. It's like, you probably should have rethought how the fucking show starts then. Because it's like this one of the other things is like rewatchability. There's no reason, like even once this series is done, let's say season 2 is fucking phenomenal. It's better than any Game of Thrones season. There's no reason to watch season 1. No, there's like, you'd have to be such a fucking diehard to rewatch this season, because there's no rewatchability factor for this.
Yeah, I'll never rewatch this season.
Like even
I don't think I'll ever rewatch it. Even and I do think season 2 has potential to be really great.
I do too.
So I'm looking forward to season 2. I'm just disappointed I had to watch season 1 to get season 2.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's fair. Because even season 8 of Game of Thrones, which is the worst season, easily, it's a big fucking rush job and whatever. I would still if I was going to rewatch Game of Thrones, I would still rewatch season 8 because I enjoyed that journey, even if the end was like, let's sprint to get to here. The opposite problem of this show. We went too fast through a short period of time. Let's really piss people off, Mike. Rings of Power versus House of the Dragon, which was the better show?
Rings of Power, like, fucking blows it away.
Yeah, I also agree. Like even with Rings of Power's problems, which it does have some, Rings of Power was way more fucking enjoyable than House of the Dragon season 1.
I was looking forward to every episode, of Rings of Power. And I'm like, fuck, it's not Friday yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
do you think House of the Dragon season 1 would be better had you not seen Game of Thrones?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. That's hard to say. I don't know if it would have made a difference.
Okay.
I think it's a good question. I wonder if there's anybody out there that has only watched House of the Dragon. I want to know what those people think.
I would love to.
Do you know anybody like that?
I don't know anybody like that, but I would love to hear somebody in the comments, because like one of the things that keeps taking me out of this is this fucking prophecy shit. And it's like, supposedly it's not a part of the books. And then we keep bringing it up. It's like, stop bringing this up. We know we've seen Game of Thrones. We know what happens. Make your own goddamn show.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What do you think?
I think Game of Thrones set the bar so high with the first, I would go so far as to say 6 seasons, because I think season 6 is really good. Other people think it went downhill after 4 or after 3. Those seasons set the bar so high that I said, like in the first episode of this, that I would try my best to separate the 2 shows and judge it on its own merits. But because they keep trying to tie the show in to Game of Thrones with this prophecy thing, they're connected for me. I cannot separate the 2. So we're in the same world. We're eventually trying to get to the same story is the end game. It's like, okay, it set the bar so high that I think if I watched House of the Dragon once it's complete, had never seen Game of Thrones and then watched Game of Thrones, it would be a more enjoyable experience.
I don't know. The more I think about it, I'm thinking if I never watched Game of Thrones and this was my first experience into the Game of Thrones world,
it could turn you off from Game of Thrones for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think I want to. I don't know if I'd want to even, but maybe not. I don't.
Well, we're judging it by season 1 too.
That's so hard to say. I don't know.
Judging it by season 1 wouldn't be fair in that comparison. We would need to have House of the Dragon as a whole. And again, season 2 is probably going to be way better than season 1. And,
I think so.
But season 1 is a slog to get through. A lot of first seasons are, except Game of Thrones. So that was people think Game of Thrones season 1 was hard to get through too, but I didn't think so.
I didn't think so either. I think that fucking episode 1, I was in.
Speaking of the prophecy, Mike, I saw something. I didn't click the article, or I think maybe I did, but I didn't save the article. Is the problem? The rumor is that Aegon's prophecy of A Song of Ice and Fire will be fully realized and completed in the Jon Snow series.
Okay. So
I don't know what you think of that.
I mean, it wasn't complete already.
That's the thing. I thought that might happen when I heard the spinoff was actually happening. I wish we had talked about that a little more, but I did mention, I think earlier in this season when we were talking about like people's issues with season 8, and like the book series is called A Song of Ice and Fire, but the show series is called Game of Thrones. The book suggests the end game is the Long Night, but the show was always focused on the throne, and like the other stuff was stuff happening on the back thing. Like Aegon's the whole like we need to unite people against the White Walkers. That was like a big component of it, but that wasn't the end game for the show because the show was Game of Thrones, not the Long Night or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I thought that probably the ending of Game of Thrones and the ending of A Song of Ice and Fire would be different in that regard. As to what the end game is. Like maybe Bran still ends up on the throne, but Bran being on the throne isn't the end of that series. So, and then the other thing was because the Night King only exists in the show, and what everybody wanted that Jon Snow versus the Night King battle, but the Night King was never really Jon Snow's enemy, except for the fact that we think that Jon is the prince that was promised order to defeat the Long Night, but the Night King was always like his enemy was the Three-Eyed Raven and all the older races and magic and like humanity in general kind of thing. So we kind of really was like Bran was the embodiment of his enemy, not Jon. Jon would more be like an obstacle. So I think it would be interesting if that whole that battle at Winterfell, the Long Night, was actually just a red herring, and the Long Night hasn't actually happened yet.
What would the Long Night be then?
I don't know. Because it's basically
an actual long night where it's fucking dark for like, I don't know, years.
Well, it's like,
fuck, everyone's starving. We can't grow shit.
He has to. Well, he has to.
Snow. He has that sword of fire.
Well, he needs to unite I guess it's just unite the realm. Is that what I don't know, but he didn't unite the realm, and the realm still isn't necessarily united because there's still like all those people, like all the wildlings went back to the north, so they're not united with the realm, and so I don't know. I think it would feel weird, but I think it would be doable since George R. R. Martin seems to be more involved with these shows now and as executive producing. And we even have that GRRM like logo at the end of the credits because they're trying to make a Marvel universe of George R. R. Martin stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe we actually get that the Snow Show is the actual the really long night.
Mm-hmm. For that Snow Show, there's not any books or anything for that, right?
Nope. Like it literally could be the last book of what George R. R. Martin intends to be the last book of A Song of Ice and Fire.
Is it a Dream of Spring?
Yeah.
A Dream of Snow?
Yeah, I think
that'd be kind of interesting because, like, part of the reason like this show also isn't as interesting is because you at least know for the most part where it ends up.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, yeah, we know, like I don't know who's going to die and how and by who, but I know, fucking Targaryens aren't, going to be around in 200 years. So
yeah, except for Jon Snow.
Well, yeah. Even at the very beginning of Game of Thrones, like there's fucking 3 Targaryens, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's Jon Snow, and then there's Dany and Viserys.
There's also another. There's also another Aegon that's in the books that wasn't in the show, or at least somebody.
There's somebody fucking guy at the wall.
Oh yeah,
who was going to be king.
Aemon. Fuck.
Yeah.
What's
Aemon? I think he is
an
right?
Aemon.
And his brother's Aegon, right?
Yeah.
Egg.
So yeah, that's
Master Aemon.
Yep.
Maester Aemon.
So we got the mailbag, a little bit of mail for you, Mike. You weren't here last week when this one came in, so I don't know if you saw this one.
Yeah, I did.
But Leo Chemo says, man, for the guy on the right who said he didn't like this episode, please list all the shows you are currently watching that are better. Please, so I can watch as well, because I really want to know what else is on that's better than this. If this episode was a dislike for you and it was awesome for me and tons of other viewers, I need to know ASAP this other shows that are awesome to you. Which, yeah, Mike, what other shows are you currently watching right now that are better than House of the Dragon?
First of all, very, very, what a weird comment. But
it's dumb. It's devoid.
I appreciate it either way.
I do appreciate.
I don't care. I mean, the thing is, so like, if you don't agree with me, that's fine. Like, you like the show, great. I wish I liked it as much as you did. Okay, I just didn't. So, in my opinion of it, like, if I dislike it and you really like it, that doesn't discredit you from liking it. It's all subjective, okay?
Well, here's the other thing.
But that you ask, there's a ton of different things that are better in this show, all right? Rings of Power for one. Shit, I've been going back and watching his Dark Materials. That blows this out of the fucking water.
Oh, you can't go back, Mike. He said currently.
Oh,
that's the thing. That's why this comment is devoid of any logic, because what else is on that is better than this? What are you currently watching that is better? So, Mike, I'm going to give you a glass of piss and a glass of sweat, and you need to drink one of them. Which one are you going to pick?
I'll mix them together.
So here's the thing. If your options are sweat and piss, and you choose the sweat, that doesn't mean sweat is great. Sweat isn't suddenly good because the other option is piss. They are both gross. So there is no logic here.
Yeah, and even if there's whatever, even if I would list off a bunch of shows, that doesn't mean anything either. So it's all subjective, man. So if you like the show, great. Sorry if I brought you down, but I'm just trying to give you an honest opinion.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's all we do. We don't hate on shows for the sake of hating on it. It's not fun. We've got better things to do with our time than hate watch a show. Mm-hmm. I've stopped covering shows because I didn't like them as much as I used to. And this one is from Todd. This is in response to the Green Council episode. I enjoyed this episode right up until that dragon end scene, or that end dragon scene completely took me out of the episode as well. Made no sense. They wanted spectacle for spectacle's sake, I guess, no matter how little it made sense. I mean, there were thousands of people standing there. The fatalities must have been in the hundreds at least, not to mention the horrific injuries to those who weren't killed. One thing that you didn't mention about that scene that made it even worse, where the fuck did Rhaenys' armor come from? That's right, I did not mention the armor thing. Because, I mean, there was just so much other stuff going on there that it's like, and it was spectacle for spectacle's sake. If you listen to the behind the scenes, they're like, what could we put in here that that would just be awful. What if a dragon showed up? That was literally all the thought that went into it. And they even basically admit to it. And it's so fucking dumb.
And I don't just hate watch stuff. Perfect point is I stopped watching that behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah,
I stopped watching all of it.
Yeah, I do watch. I
don't like watching. So I'm like, I don't want to fucking hate watch it.
I do hate watch the behind the scenes stuff because I think it's important to spotlight how these writers are nowadays.
I'm curious. I do want to watch it, and I might watch it now that the season's over. I might go back and watch a few of them, but maybe not. So I'll just be like, what? They didn't show that. No, you're telling me now I gotta fucking watch that? Whatever. We talked about it.
Yeah. And then from Fat Apples, you made me laugh so hard I'm going back and watching y'all's other reviews. Thank you so much, Fat Apples.
All right.
Because it's harrowing to do one of these Watchers on the Couch by myself and flying solo. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate you going back and checking out our other stuff.
Yeah, that was just for you, dude. Right? That's comment on the last one that you did solo. Mm-hmm. Sweet, good for you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing that solo. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, you had some rough times, so
yeah.
You hanging in there, okay?
Yeah, doing all right. I'm getting there.
So, yeah. Speaking of our other reviews, that's just a reminder for you that while House of the Dragon is over, Watchers on the Couch is not. Mike and I will be back in December to cover the final season of His Dark Materials. So you have time to catch up if you haven't watched it yet. We covered season 2. It's on the main podcast feed, or you can just search for Watchers on the Couch, His Dark Materials on your podcast app of choice, and you should be able to find those episodes, just those episodes. And for our YouTube audience, those episodes will be published on our channel over the course of next week. So Monday through Friday of next week, I will drop one of those every day. If you have any interest in watching season 2, then maybe check those episodes out as well. You'll actually see various stages of my studio being destroyed in the background as I finally decide on the paint colors that I have today. As I was skimming through it, it's like, oh yeah, there's a big blue strip across from where I tore down the chair rail, and oh yeah, there's like 6 paint swatches on the wall in this episode. Also, I just started a Discord server for Watchers on the Couch, so we can stay in touch during the off season, talk about other shows, movies, things like that. I'm only going to have it open to the general public for a limited time. Mike's had a lot going on these past couple weeks, but hopefully we can get him in there as well. So join our Discord chat. Link in the description. The doors for that will close at the end of the year. So hope to see you there. Hear that? That's the sound of FOMO. That's FOMO Sparathian telling you to get in there and read and get in our chat room. Man, Mike, you excited for your month off from the podcast?
I am, actually. It'll be nice. Nice for a little break.
What you got going on?
I'll be excited to come back. Heck, man. Anything besides podcasting, I guess.
That's right.
Maybe I'll be watching some football. But hey, I will be. I already even started doing a rewatch of His Dark Materials. So
yeah, I think I'll have to.
I will be ready to go, and when we pick that back up in December.
Excellent.
What are you going to be doing?
I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff around this house, I think, or at least I'm going to try to. It's also the season where everybody gets sick all the time. So we'll see how much I can actually get done. Mm-hmm. But I want to make some acoustic panels for my studio. And I want to get back to work on my passion project, my Dungeons and Dragons podcast, Trapped Under Dice. I doubt I'll get any episodes out this year. But for those of you who don't know, I have another podcast. It's called Trapped Under Dice. It's a hybrid actual play kind of audio narration podcast of the D&D campaign that I run. I announced it when we ended Game of Thrones season 8. There are a whole 3 episodes of it out there. I have not released an episode since the year 2000. But I have like 6. Yeah. Sorry, 2020. Jesus Christ. I released episodes before podcasts existed. But I've got I have all the episode, I have all the audio recorded. Like we had our we had our main campaign. So like all the episodes for season 1, the source audio is recorded. I just need to go back, do the editing and things like that, add music, stuff like that. And I've got like 6 episodes in progress, like just trying to batch them out. So I'm hoping starting in 2023, I'll be able to be on a regular schedule where one of those will come out. But yeah, if you're interested, I do really enjoy the 3 episodes that I put out, and definitely check out Trapped Under Dice, the podcast. And I am absolutely, that is not a dead project. It is just, it is just limping along like Viserys. But it's going to make a miraculous recovery. It's not going to be killed by the Greens. But that's what I'm doing. Trying to get the word out of the Watchers on the Couch podcast. I'm still going to probably try to release some more content. I still need to put our old content up on our YouTube channel, grow the YouTube channel, that kind of thing. So that's what I'm going to be doing, but I'm probably not going to watch any new shows. I want to take a break from TV for a little bit.
If you want to do, I mean, I said I'm be doing everything but podcasting, but in between our month off or whatever, I'm cool with hopping on and doing a little podcast or update about whatever.
I wouldn't mind seeing if I can get you and Chris together to just kind of like talk about Watchers on the Couch in general, like either plans for the future, answer some Q&A from people. I think that could be cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the 100 subscriber making of video. I have to finish that too. Like that's mostly recorded. I just need to edit it. So yeah, the how I put together a show, that is coming. That'll come out on YouTube this month, or in the month of November as well. But that'll do it. Man, what a season! What a year this season has been.
Yeah.
But until
Westworld than this, his Dark Materials, you better not let me down.
Oh, it can't, man. I mean, fucking James McAvoy. It's a war. It's a war against God. I mean, what do you?
Damn it, Lyra.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. That's another one where I don't know anything about the source material. So.
Yep. Me either.
But until next time, I'm Tim.
And I'm Mike.
And now our watch has ended until this show, until next season, but until next month. Don't get your dick chopped off. Don't send your kid on important missions. Keep them home. Stay indoors.
Tiny dragon.
Stay indoors. Get vaccinated. All that stuff.
Yep.
Bye. Hey, if you made it this far into the show, let me just say thanks. It means a lot that you take the time to listen to us goof around, and we'd love to hear from you and let us know how we're doing. Consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or wherever you leave your podcast reviews, and reach out on any of our various social media channels. Links in the description.